When it comes to the forehand, there are 5 main ways that you can finish. Number 1 is over the shoulder. This is the standard finish. Now this is where you go from the contact point, you're focusing on brushing up the ball, but also finishing with the racket above your left shoulder for the right-handers out there. Now this is one of the best ways to learn that low to high swing on the forehand when you're just starting the game. So this is a very good way to learn how to catch the racket over your left shoulder. So I'm making contact and I'm catching the racket over my left shoulder. This will engage my left hand. This will ensure that I'm not doing this with the arm, but I actually focus on catching that racket at the very end of the swing, and this will teach me how to sync both my arms together. The second option we have is the across the chest finish. This is where we're making contact and we're finishing across our chest. As you can see, my elbows across my chest, the racket's down by my left shoulder like this, and this is the most standard finish on the ATP Tour. We'll see players like Federer, Alcaraz, a lot of the top forehands in the world will make contact around chest height and they'll finish across the chest. Now, because you're finishing across the chest, it allows you to be very aggressive with your racket head speed. I'm going from this position here to this position extremely quickly, and I'm also even using my biceps slightly to pull the racket back into my body, as we can see here. Now this finish is great to use on those slightly higher balls around chest height or even head level, because from here I can focus on that finish and I can still produce that windshield wiper motion. As we can see, contact point, racket then goes to an upwards position, so the top of the racket is pointing up to the sky, and then from this position I finish that windshield wiper motion and I come across the chest. The next finish is the down by the hip finish. This is where we go from this position to a very low position, like so. Now players who use an extreme grip such as the Western will use this finish more often. We can often see Nick Kyrgios going from this position here at contact to down by here. And this is simply because of the grip. But even if you're using a semi-Western or an Eastern forehand grip, you can still finish down here sometimes. And the reason why is when we want to produce the most aggressive windshield wiper motion, this is the ideal way to produce it. I'm going from this position, contact point, I'm coming up and I'm coming across. So it's very quick. As you can see, this is happening from the forearm pronating during that point of contact. So it's supination at contact, pronating, full pronation. This is just exactly the same motion that we're doing on the serve. Supination, pronation, full pronation. Now on the forehand, it looks like this. Palm is up to the sky. This is where I'm in that supinated position. Palm is now facing towards the left side of the court. And then finally, palm is facing the ground. So with the racket, it looks like this. Palm is facing the sky. Palm is facing the left side of the court. Palm is facing the ground. And the time to use this finish is when you're going for a short angle cross court, when you're trying to hit the ball into the player's feet. Let's say the player has come to the net and you're trying to get them to volley up. This is a perfect finish to use. We're going from here to here. And you may even use this finish if you're lobbing somebody. So if I'm going for an aggressive lob, instead of trying to go up like this, I may go upwards, but then have that extreme windshield wiper motion to produce that aggressive topspin. The next finish is that buggy whip finish, which Nadal has made so famous. Now, if we think about producing a maximum low to high swing path, this finish is the ideal way to produce that aggressive topspin. So by making contact here, Rafa's doing this with the arm. He's still extending out, he's still brushing the back of the ball, but instead of now pulling back into his body, he's focusing on finishing above his head. So from the front, it's like this. Contact point, brushing up, and then finishing above the head. Now, I don't recommend doing this when you're a junior player and using it all the time, because it puts a lot of stress on your shoulder. But every now and then, it's not a bad idea to use this finish, especially when you make contact slightly late. So if I make contact on side of me, I can still get the ball in by using this above the head finish. I can also use this when dealing with a high ball. So if the opponent has pushed me back and I want to hit aggressive spin, I can do this, and we often see the pros using that, especially on clay. So when should we use this shot? When we want to produce aggressive spin and that higher trajectory over the net. And the last finish is the flat forehand finish. This is a finish that Andre Agassi perfected when he was trying to flatten out his forehand. So instead of allowing his strings to go from this position to this position, when he wants to spin, he would use that technique. But when he wants to produce that flatter, more aggressive penetrating shot, he's actually allowing the wrist to go from this position to a neutral position as he makes contact. So he's making contact, the wrist is back, and he finishes with the strings hitting through that ball. If you imagine that linear swing, this is the ultimate way to actually produce that linear swing, because you're now allowing the wrist to hit through that ball fully. Then from this position, we can see that he brings the racket like so. So at the end of the swing, his racket face, the side of the strings he's hit the ball with, will be facing the back of the court. So it ends up looking like this. Contact point, hitting through the ball, finishing like this. I like to call this the slap finish. It requires exceptional timing. Most players who are watching this video, if you try to hit this forehand, you will struggle to control that shot. It took me many years of practicing this technique to actually understand the timing and to fully master that technique of hitting the ball and allowing the wrist to slap through that point of contact. So there you have it, 5 ways you can finish your forehand. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and if you have enjoyed it, smash that like button. It really helps us out. If there are any lessons you'd like to see from us in the near future, leave a comment down below. Signing off, Coach Simon from TTT. All the best and see you soon, guys. Take care.